Good morning, everybody. We are back here thinking into results. We are in lesson 8, and this is the lesson on praxis. So I don't know if you guys have heard that term before, but praxis is the integration of belief and behavior. So that's what we're going to dive into today. We're going to get deep on the topic of belief. And I think it's so important, and especially just coming out of our event, like for sure, I feel like people's belief has gone to an all-time high because of this event. So let me make sure our chat is on so you guys can say hello. Okay, I see everybody chiming in. Hello, good morning. Let me know where you guys are coming from. Hello, good morning, Sonia. James is on, Bill's on. How many of you guys were at the event? How many of you guys went to convention this year? Drop an emoji if you were at the event physically. I know there's a lot of people on live stream too, but there's nothing like being there. For sure, you got to be there in real life to get that energy. Okay, so lots of you guys were there. It was amazing to see you guys too, because it had been a while since we had another event. It wasn't since Mastermind. So that's about to change though. This year coming up, you guys, we're going to have a lot of events coming up. We only announced a couple of them, but there's going to be a ton of them. And if you want to keep your belief at an all-time high for the company, for yourself, you have to get to the events. And honestly, like, this strategy is so much easier than how we've been doing it, which is only a couple events. You want people to stay close to the fire, so that's the purpose of those events. Get everybody trained up at once. Everybody gets all the information. They can go out and they can go crush it, in their team and all that. So let's get into today's lessons, you guys. Today we're going to talk about belief. Why is belief so important? Belief is everything. Literally, if you don't believe in something, you literally cannot get it, right? And so we have this habit, and I actually talked about this in our last convention, 2021. But we have this habit of relying on our sensory factors, right? So what we can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. We think, if I can see it, then I'll believe it. If I can touch it, then I'll believe it's real. If I can feel it, then I'll believe it, right? But if you don't have the sensory factors for your belief, what I'm saying is believing in something before you see it, most of the time people won't. They won't believe in that. And that creates a conflict within them. So what you have is people thinking consciously in their conscious mind, which is only 5% of your brain, right? In your conscious mind, you're thinking, yeah, I can do it. I can get to super feel it. I for sure can do it. And then you go home and you take actions as if you don't actually believe that. So what happens? People come to events to get temporarily motivated, then they go home to become permanently lazy. Why is that happening? So we have the knowing doing gap. We talked about that in lesson 2, right? It's where you collect a lot of information. Maybe you go to school, you collect a lot of degrees, you have a lot of knowledge, but on the subconscious level, you don't have congruency. You don't actually know what to do with your knowledge, or you're not actually taking actions towards what you actually are saying that you believe, right? So you've seen this before. You've seen people that have been in the industry. They've been in for 10, 12, 15 years, and they've been the same rank for that amount of time. What's going on with that person? How come they can show up to every event? They're professional meeting attenders at this point, in their life, and they're constantly getting ready to work. They're prepared to work. They've got notes and pages and notes filled out. They're learning. They're just in constant study mode, right? They have all the knowledge. In fact, if there was a pop quiz on network marketing, they would ace that thing. And that's what we've learned in our educational system, is to learn things and then you get tested to see if you actually know it. Nobody's testing you if you can actually do it, right? So there's the difference. My parents were teachers when I was growing up, and they said those who can't do teach. That's so messed up. That shouldn't be how it is. Like, I for sure don't want to learn from somebody that hasn't done it, right? In fact, Josh was in college, and he dropped out because he went to his professor and he said, okay, can you show me how to run a business? Can you show me, what are the things that you've done to implement to become successful? Like, you're teaching it, so for sure you should have that experience. And the teacher is like, no, I've never started a business. I only know how to start a business because of, paper, because I've learned how to do it. I've got family members that have doctorate degrees. They got so many degrees that would take up this entire wall, and yet they're broke. Why is that? We learn you could have a whole degree in economics and still be broke. Why is that? Because it's not about all the information you gather, although the information you gather is very important, but, and it's good to have belief on a conscious level, but really, if you don't have it on a subconscious level, you're literally not going to take any action in your life. You're not going to move forward. You're not going to act like that which you believe. I'm going to say something that might touch a nerve here, but that's okay. You ever see people that go to church on Sunday and then on Monday, they're back to their same old again? That's why they say you show up every week, because some of y'all need to go every week, right? Because you're all holy on Sunday, and then come Monday, you're back to the same old. You're behaving as if you don't believe. So that's interesting, right? Because you can have all the information in the world. You can memorize all the Bible verses, right? You could read Think and Grow Rich. You can have it memorized, in fact. But if you don't actually apply what you're learning into your own life, if you don't actually go through with that action part of that, if you don't actually physically change your habits, if you don't change your habits, if you don't have a radical departure from some of your bad habits, then nothing is going to change, right? Nothing will change. So I want to share with you guys a couple things before I kind of get even more to this lesson. So when I was last talking to Bob Proctor, which was around January of this year, before he passed, I actually sent him a book in the mail, and I sent him Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. I don't know if you guys have read that or not, but he was telling me that he was reading this book, and he was just, he felt so good. He actually, while he was in the hospital, he wasn't feeling bad. He was in there, but he was actually recovering. He went home, he passed at home, but he was actually feeling good, which is kind of crazy. So, but it was just his time, and he knew it. In fact, people closest to him told me that he was like up in the middle of the night, he was dancing and singing, and he was just, and they were like, Bob, Grandpa, Dad, get back to bed, but he was just jumping around. He was so excited. He knew what time it was, but he was reading this book. I sent it to him, and I had read it right before he passed, and it was Feeling is the Secret. Now, this is really important, because you see, what's going on in your subconscious mind is a reflection of your emotions. It's a reflection of your feelings, what you're feeling. And so that's why you see people that are like, think positive, think positive, think positive, but really internally they're like angry as hell, right? They're in traffic, they're honking, they're like angry, they're holding the wheel like this, but they're like, ask, believe, receive, they're trying to stay positive, but internally they're a hot mess, right? So the feeling really is the secret. So I want to share with you guys a couple of things from that book before we get too far into this lesson. So just a few things that really blew my mind. The title of the book is Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. It's written in 1944. Good stuff. Okay, you guys ready for this? So here's a couple things. So it actually talks about the conscious and the subconscious mind. It talks about the conscious mind as being very personal. It's very selective. The subconscious mind is very impersonal. It's non-selective. So just as the earth is immoral, right? It doesn't care positive, negative. It has both poles, right? It's got, law of relativity. Everything, nothing's big, nothing's small. Everything is just what it is. Not everything, things are either, people think there's things are neither positive or negative. The truth is they're both. Everything just is what it is. We make it positive or negative. We decide that. So anything that's going in your life, it is what it is, but we're going to make it whatever it is in our life. Does that make sense? Somebody could deal with a death in their family, and they could be completely derailed for months and months on end and years, and not get back there holding on to their past, that past vibration. Because of that, they're literally getting themselves stuck. But another person can look at it as a celebration of life, a legacy. They can look at it a different way. What am I going to take from that experience? What am I going to carry with me into my future, right? Same event, different perspectives. So everything is just what it is. And so now, the law of gender is also universal law. And I do believe there's a reason why we're trying to mess all that up, because the more you're out of harmony with these laws, right, the more you're going to screw up your life, which may or may not be part of the agenda. But the male is the conscious mind and the female is the subconscious mind. Okay, so there's divisions of consciousness, really. There's two streams. That's why poverty and abundance flows down one stream, and then poverty and misery really is another stream. And it's interesting because people often associate money and success and happiness and money all together, but really they're just different streams of reality. And so I was reading this book, And this is something that really stood out to me. And it said, therefore, through his power to imagine and feel, man has control over his own creation, what he's creating in his life. So whatever idea he's entertaining, or she, and feeling is what's going to dictate what's going to happen in their life next. The mechanism of creation is hidden in the depths of the subconscious mind, the female aspect, or the womb of creation. Something kind of crazy. I know a lot of people, when they think of the number 6, they automatically think, oh, that's evil, right? When you think 666, oh my gosh, that's, evil. Stay away from that number. We use it, you see it in Halloween houses and stuff like that. It's the association with darkness. You guys understand? What people think negatively, they have an association to that number. But really, if you look at the dimensions of reality, 6th dimension is the creation, is where creation happens. When you're making a baby, it's usually in the dark. The baby lives in the womb. That's creation. The 7th is the light that comes through when you can visibly see and perceive the creation. Anyway, I'm getting really deep into this, you guys, and we could go on. I can go on and on about this, but I want to get you guys the meat and the potatoes of this lesson today. So why is this so important? This is so important because feeling is the one and only medium. Your feeling, your subconscious mind is the medium which all ideas are conveyed into the subconscious. It's literally, so there's an unbroken connection between your feeling and the invisible world. Now, here's the interesting thing. The dominant of two feelings, the one that's the biggest feeling within you, is the one that's going to be expressed. So if you're like, I have doubts, but I really want to win, but I really deep down, I feel like I can't, but I really want to, and it's my wish, it's my desire, it's my goal. But you're reading your goal, right? And it doesn't really add up for you yet. It's on the gut feeling. It doesn't feel like it's totally there yet. The dominant of those two feelings is going to be the one that's expressed. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you're blue in the face saying what you believe into the mirror. If you never internalize that, then it doesn't happen. So this is a tricky thing for people because they want to know, how do I make it feel like it's real? I'm going to tell you guys. So a month before I walked into the gym and started exercising, a whole month, it took me 31 days. I had to read my goal card for 31 days before I felt like I was going to take action. So I did it just because I wanted to test this out to see if it really works, right? I wanted to know, because this is a big resistance for me. Because when I wake up in the morning, honestly, I want to pour my cup of coffee. I want to go straight into study. Like, I just want to study all day. That's like my passion. That's why I love to do that. And I like to create content and material to share with the world. So that's what I want to do when I wake up, right? I don't want to get up and go to the gym and delay my whole morning routine and then have to shower and then do my makeup and then finally get to study. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not naturally like exciting for me. I'm not passionate about it. So I wrote it on a goal card, you guys. It took me 31 days before I was like, I need to get into the gym. And I had an urge to get into the gym. I had a feeling, and my subconscious was finally working. I had planted that idea in my subconscious mind, and through repetition, it finally manifested as action. So if you're wondering, like, how do I make it feel like that? How do I make myself feel that belief on a gut level? Repetition. There's only two ways. It's repetition and it's an emotional impact. Emotional impacts can be felt at events. Okay. So what you're repeating to yourself every single day and the events that you're attending in your business. If you do those two things, you will feel aligned with your goal. You will have belief in your goal, and eventually you will begin to carry out that action. Does that make sense, you guys? So I am is stronger than I am not. The wish needs to be is, not is not. So for instance, I am a powerful, successful, human being is much more powerful than I'm going to be. Because if you say I'm going to be, you're admitting to yourself that you are not now. So when you're talking about your goals, it has to be right now, because you see, the universe doesn't care about time. For instance, if you are in a spaceship, you're flying to the moon. Let's say you go all the way to Saturn, you come back, it's a different time on Earth, isn't it? It may have been 20 years have passed, even though it only took you a year and a half to get there and back. what the heck? So time doesn't exist. So if that's the case, then while time is the opposite of space, space is the opposite of time. So that means the past, the present, and the future are happening all at the same time. They're timelines we are jumping based on alignment, based on where our consciousness is. Now, I was also reading in this book, Feeling is the Secret, and this really blew my mind. And it said, consciousness is the only reality that ever exists. Consciousness. So what does that mean? If I take my pen and if I put it in a drawer like this, the pen doesn't exist anymore. What? Well, think about it. Now that I've opened this up, I've opened my drawer up, now it's called into my observation and now it exists. So you're literally the only things that exist in your world are what you're experiencing right now. Now, but everything lives on a frequency. It could be on the physical level or the spiritual level or onto the intellectual level. But if I call Jay Peso on the phone right now, I see his comments, so I'm just going to say Jay. If I call him on the phone, I'm going to dial his frequency. His phone number has its own frequency and I can get him on the phone. But before I call him, he doesn't exist. He doesn't exist in my world right now. So literally only what you're currently perceiving, what you're currently putting your attention on, what you're currently focusing your mind on is what exists in your life right now. And so if you want to change the results of what you're observing, you have to change your beliefs in your conscious level. You got to internalize them on the subconscious level, and you have to start walking into that motion. You see, the universe has a law of cause and effect, right? Cause and effect. This is a universal law. You have to be in harmony with the law if you want to have anything happen in your life. You want to take control of the results in your life. Okay, so it's action, reaction. So some of y'all are waiting for the fire. You're freezing. You're broke, right? People are quitting your team. All these things happening. You have maybe everything's falling apart. You're freezing out there in the winter. And you're like, why won't my fire light? And you're like, haven't even put wood in the fireplace yet. You haven't even bothered to go find a match. You haven't even bothered to put any lighter fluid on there at all. Like, you're just waiting for somebody to light this match for you. Well, nobody's coming to light the match for you, because the way the universe works is you take the action first. You have to put your faith out there first. You have to walk, even though you may not see everything. You have to walk towards it first, and then it'll respond. There'll be a reaction. If you don't light the fire, it's not going to light itself. You have to light the fire. You have to feed the fire. You have to build the fire and keep it lit. And if you're fine, it's crazy, because if you look at the fingertip of somebody, there's more power in your fingertips than there are in the power that's required to light up Las Vegas for a week. Do you guys know how much potential power you have within you? And yet we don't use any of it. We use very, very small amount of it. So, for instance, if you go to the hospital, let's say you got a big cut on your hand. You cut yourself in the kitchen, right? You go into the hospital, you go in there, and they're sewing you up, right? They put the bandages on, they put the creams and all the stuff on there. What happens? Did the doctor come in and heal you? No. They have repaired you so that you can heal faster, but your body heals itself. Why do we think that we can heal a cut, but we can't heal cancer? Why do you think that we have the mental thing where we're like, well, we can cut, I got an ingrown toenail. I can heal that, right? That's small. I can heal that, but I can't heal my autoimmune diseases. Why? Why do we think that? We only think that because that's what we're programmed to think. You guys see breast cancer awareness. You guys see these campaigns that go out there, awareness. Why do you think they're awareness? Because the cures are already out there. But if we're not spreading the awareness cure, the cure of the awareness, we're spreading the disease awareness, right? And so what happens to people? They start thinking about it. Oh, I should probably get checked for that. Oh, I should probably, maybe I have that. Oh, they start thinking of other people in their life who have that. Honestly, you guys, awareness is deadly. I never want to support any awareness campaigns out there if it's a negative towards a disease. I never want to spread that, because why do you think that is? Let's think about the news, for instance. You can tell if a person watches the news or not because of the things that come out of their mouth sounded exactly like what they just heard on the news. They're literally programmed. That's why it's called TV programming. Literally. Now, here's what they figured out with the news, okay? And in fact, the CIA has done lots of studies on this. In fact, the CIA was one of the inventors of how the TV even works. They have a patent on the programming of minds. through the CIA, right? I'm just telling you guys what it is. And so what do? They gather all the negative stories up in the world and they project them onto a screen so that people can start thinking of those negative ideas, right? And then they find the most emotional, gut-wrenching stories they can find, because they know if they get your emotions involved, then you're going to help manifest it. COVID, y'all, that was an awareness campaign. The depression, the Great Depression, the recession, all that, that's an awareness campaign. If your mind's wrapped up in it, that's what you're experiencing. If it's not wrapped up in it, you're not experiencing it. You're on a whole different frequency. That's like night and day. You don't even see it. You don't even know what people are talking about. You know, people talking about elections. I have no idea what's going on. I feel amazing that I don't know what's going on. I could care less what's going on because I'm making my own economy. I'm making my own business. I'm creating my own environment because I have the God-given ability to do so. And so do you. What's the difference between us and all of the other animals in the animal kingdom? Well, we have the ability to create our own environment. You know, all other animals operate on instinct. They don't even have to think about it. They're just at home in their natural environment, right? Okay, except for y'all who push your dogs in strollers. You are ruining their whole life with that. I had to say that, okay? But listen, I understand that. They're not at home in their environment. They've definitely adapted over time, but we create our own environment, right? And so if your body literally, so here's the other thing. People think that your mind is your brain. Your brain is no more your mind than your fingernail is, because mind is in every cell of the body. Mind body is one. Okay, so mind is in every cell of the body. Mind is movement, and the body is the manifestation of the movement. Does that make sense? Your body's an emotional filter, and it bears the mark of your prevalent emotions. That's why when Bob Proctor goes to seminars and stuff, he can go out to the crowd, he can read a person just like that, because what you see on the outside is what they're manifesting of what they have built upon on the inside. Their inside always is a reflection of what's on the outside. So here's the deal. If you feel intensely about a wrong without voicing it or expressing it, you're suppressing that emotion. Up here, you're like, yes, I'm going to be a super affiliate, but internally you're like angry because somebody left you when you were a child, and then you're looking for that self-fulfilling prophecy now in your team, right? You're looking for it in Josh and Jenna. You're looking for it in My Daily Choice. Oh, they forgot to pay me. We never forget to pay, but sometimes y'all set up your payments wrong and think it's us. Okay. But I'm just saying, you're going to look for that evidence in your life because of the drama that you hold within yourself. I always tell people, look at yourself like you're an air filter. Okay. If you're an air filter and all the things that are happening from your five senses are being collected into this air filter, right? Well, if you never take the time to clean it out, the air can't move through. It gets clogged, it gets stuck. And that's why some of you go, I am stuck in my business, because you're collecting a bunch of crap that you aren't letting pass through, right? We are energetic beings, and there's spiritual power that's coming to and through us. We have to let it flow, right? Does that make sense? What happens if you put a tourniquet on your arm? Let's put a tourniquet right here. What happens? The blood flow stops, right? Eventually your hand's going to turn purple. You're going to lose feeling in it. The blood's going to get a signal to stop here and then turn back around and recirculate through here. It will no longer circulate from here down. You're going to lose that arm. You could cut this arm off. The rest of your body is still going to function, but the blood's going to stop flowing. Some of y'all do this with your bank account. You put it this is your little savings you're trying to save for the rest of your life, right? But you're not letting anything flow in or out. So if money is energy, blood flow is energy, what do you think you're meant to do? You're meant to stay in the flow, right? So you have to, now if your conscious and your subconscious mind are not aligned, you're not in the flow. You're not in the flow state. You have to be in the flow state in order to step into the natural laws of the universe and make use of them. You know, Napoleon Hill said it takes no more effort to demand abundance and prosperity than it does to accept misery and defeat and poverty. That's the difference. People who are successful demand success, and the people who are not accept poverty. That's the difference, right? So like, have you ever went from one grade to another while you were growing up? You've been in school, right? Have you ever went from 11th grade to 12th grade? Yeah. You've been to 7th grade to 8th grade, right? Well, imagine if you just had to stay in 7th grade for the rest of your life. You're not growing. You're just going to stay here. You're accepting this is all I'm going to ever be. No, you eventually drive yourself crazy because you're meant to move forward, right? You're meant to express the fullness within you. You're meant to express that spiritual perfection that's within you. And so I know your grandmother said you should be happy with what you have. Okay, grandma, yes, you're right. You should be happy with what you have, but you should always be aiming for more because the uniqueness within you seeks expression. You have to express that to the fullest. Okay. So here's the deal. The subconscious mind may only be voluntary directly through habit. And so this is where we're going to wrap up this lesson. We're going to talk about your habits. Okay. Habits are so important. And I have one thing I want to share with you guys on that. Habits are ideas that automatically express themselves through behavior without any conscious thought. How do you move into your daily routine? Think about it. You don't think about it. You probably don't even think about, you probably made your coffee, you probably went pee, you probably did a bunch of things that you weren't even thinking about. In fact, when you walk anywhere, are you thinking left, right, left, right, left, right? You're not thinking about it. It's a habit. It's built in. Your subconscious behaviors just automatically go. Habits are automatic behaviors. You get to control that though. So whatever you're doing in the morning, whatever you're moving into, all you have to do is change these set of habits. Now, non-productive habits can be overpowered, okay, through the repetition of new beliefs that are planted in the subconscious mind with strong emotion, resulting in a new habit. You can change your habits just as much as you can change your underwear, but you have to focus on that. You have to make that an intentional thing. Now, at convention, I ended my speech with 4 things, and I'm going to leave them with you today as well, in case you guys missed it or you didn't hear it or you need to hear it one more time, okay? And if Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich that if you do these 4 things and you make them a habit, you have to succeed. You literally cannot help but succeed. All right, you guys ready? 4 things, and then we're going to hop out of here. Number 1, you got to have a definite purpose or a definite goal. Now, I wanted to think about this just a little bit different than how we've been talking about this in the past, okay? Now, we already know about C-type goals, okay? But here's the deal. I want you to find a goal that's worth trading your life for. What is a goal that's worth trading your life for? You have to think really big because it has to be really important, right? For you to trade your life for that. You're going to show up every single day. You're going to work towards that. That's your obsession. You're going to fall in love with it. You're going to choose to love it every single day. A goal that's worth trading your life for. Okay. So number 1, you got to have a definite purpose or goal. Number 2, you got to have a definite plan. You have to have a definite plan. So I read this the other day. I'm going to share it with you guys because it was mind-blowing. Hold on. And it has to do with this plan really quickly. So there's something that Bob used to say. And he used to say, the only thing we don't know is we don't know the gestation period of our idea or our goal. We don't know when it's going to come. But I read something a little bit deeper. I actually am studying the conversation between Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill, and I found out the exact time it takes to achieve a goal. You guys ready to hear it? All right. Here we go. Let me find it really quick. This is what Andrew Carnegie said. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. Napoleon Hill was the reporter that interviewed Carnegie, who put together Think and Grow Rich. Okay. Now there's one more book. This is a major hack that Bob doesn't even talk about. So if you guys are listening, please listen up. The entire transcript of the conversation between Carnegie and Hill is in this book, which is Think Your Way to Health, or excuse me, Wealth, but health also works. Think Your Way to Wealth. Okay. So this is what Carnegie said to Napoleon Hill when he said, for when you're doing your plan, when's it going to take to show up? What's the time it takes to show up? He says this: the best way I can think of to describe the time necessary for the translation of a definite purpose into its physical or financial equivalent can be accurately stated by determining the exact time necessary to deliver the service or the equivalent in value one intends to give in return for the object of that purpose. You will hit your goal the moment you have rendered the service equal to that goal. If I want to earn $5 million a month, I have to render the service of $5 million worth of that a month. Does that make sense? So if you want to make $500 a month, what service do you have to give that's going to equal that? You want to know how long it's going to take, however long it's going to take you to put the service out there, because you have to give in order to get, right? So the number 2 on this list, the 4 keys to freedom. Number 1 is definite purpose. The next one is a definite plan. So you're developing a plan. How can I serve $5 million worth of people in action or service, right? Okay, so that's what your plan is going to be all about. For instance, I want to speak all over the world. I want to write another book. I already have the book in my mind. I just have to put it on paper. I'm going to develop courses. I'm going to go into seminars. I'm going to teach people. I'm going to mentor people. I'm going to do all these things. When I complete what I say I'm going to do, then I can have that money. Does that make sense? People are always like, oh my God, Jenna, $1 million a month, a million, blah, 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 blah. What did I have to do to get that? I had to serve that amount of people, right? So if you want to hit those goals, how many people you're going to have to serve? That's when you know it's going to show up, okay? Number 3, and I'm only giving you 4, and then we're done. So number 3, close your mind of all negative influences or anything that is not in harmony with that which you desire. So it's not even necessarily about negative, positive, blah, blah, blah. It's whatever's not in harmony with that desire, whatever is not in harmony with it. Okay. So for instance, if your goal is to be ripped, right, in the gym, Jefferson Santos, right, every day, Aaron Parker, like that's your goal. Okay, then what you're probably not going to do is the night before, you're not going to drink a bunch of alcohol, right? You're just not going to do that because that's not in harmony with your goal. You're probably not going to eat a cheeseburger either, like the day of. Like you're just not taking those actions. Those actions are not incongruent with your goal. Does that make sense? So you're going to take a look at your actions and your habits and the things that are not in harmony with your goal. If you say you want to show up, you're going to be in a super affiliate. What do you have to do every single day? What actions do you have to take every single day to be in harmony with that goal? What do you have to do? You have to call a lot of people, right? You have to study, you have to show up, you got to work on yourself, you got to call your team, you have to taproot your leadership, right? You got to do all the things that a super affiliate would do. It's one thing to say it, but you got to walk through with it as well. And you have to shield yourself to anything that's not that. Some of y'all are like, dang, I got to get divorced. No, listen, you just have to shield your mind, right? You have to protect your mindset. You got to have that little safety right there where you're just not letting anything in. You see, your conscious mind is the guard for your subconscious. We get to choose what goes in and what doesn't go in, right? When you're watching TV, your conscious mind's turned off. It's only subconscious programming. So think about that when you put your kids in front of the TV. Think about that when you're sitting and watching something for the, at the end of the day. Think about what's going in, because you have to shield yourself from everything that's not in harmony with your goal. Does that make sense? That's number 3. Number 4, this is huge, because there's no way, shape, or form you're going to get super affiliate by yourself. You're not going to get master affiliate by yourself. You're not going to reach anything of significance on your own, period. You have to build a team. You have to have an alliance of people that are on the same frequency. You have to have an alliance of people that all want this goal also, and also believe in it. If you have a couple people on your team that don't believe it, they don't believe in the goal, they're going to hold everything back, right? So you want to build an alliance of people that are working together in a spirit of harmony. Does that make sense? And you want to meet with them at least 2 times a week. You're going to build your mastermind group. Jesus had 12 disciples. He knew about this principle. This is where Andrew Carnegie even thought of it because of the Bible. He thought about it from then. And so he did not achieve anything without building his own disciples. So I want you to think about this. Who are your disciples going to be? You can't do this by yourself. And if you're trying to be the anti-social affiliate marketer, internet marketer, I could just do videos and post and I'm going to be successful. You're not. You're really not. It's going to take a lot for you to develop yourself and to attract the talent required for you to get to that next level. Does that make sense? Because guess what? The top talent in this industry don't want to work with tire kickers. They don't. They see you're a tire kicker, you dress like a tire kicker, you smell like a tire kicker. If you're acting like a tire kicker, guess what? The top leadership in the industry is not going to want to work with you. So what do you have to do personally? You got to make those changes, but you also got to be on that frequency that they're on. When I met Bob Proctor for the first time, I said, oh my gosh, I'm so honored to meet you. He said, why? He's like, we're just on the same frequency. You don't have to feel honored and blah. He's like, why? Like, listen, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing here. We all have gifts. We all have innate abilities. If you've seen the Tinkerbell movie, I have toddlers, y'all. We're watching Tinkerbell. Each Tinkerbell is born from a baby's laugh. It floats in a little flower and it spreads out, finally gets to the little Tinkerbell land, and they all are given a gift. They all have a gift, and it's their job to develop that gift and to further express it into its full potential. What's your gift? Look into yourself. What are you naturally good at? What are you excited about? What do you want to do? And nobody could pay you to do it. You would just do it because you love it. Focus on that. Okay. And then set your goals in alignment with that. Get it on a conscious level, integrate it on a subconscious level, hold your belief, hold the vision on the screen of your mind, and you cannot help but succeed. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hopping on, and I will see you guys next week back here again for Thinking Into Results Lesson 9. Bye, guys.